What does Tennessee do? I say 10-2. Tennessee is going to go 10-2, but the two losses, Georgia and Alabama. And with that loss to Georgia, Tennessee would be 6-2 in the SEC East. Georgia have 9-3 and 6-2 in the SEC East. And Georgia has the head-to-head win. Tennessee finishes second in the SEC East and misses out on their trip to Atlanta.
Yeah, I don't see that happening. I think that
But you also have Georgia beating. You have Georgia at 9-3, correct?
Yeah.
What's their SEC record?
I have 9-3. Their SEC record, where Tennessee, I have them losing to Georgia, and I have them losing to Alabama.
So same record, 10-2.
I have Georgia losing to Auburn, which is SEC.
Okay,
I have them,
so you have that. So you have Georgia beating North Carolina this weekend and then losing to Auburn.
So they have 3 SEC losses. Tennessee goes to the SEC championship in Atlanta. I think Butch Jones finally cements himself as a good college football coach, a coach that can build a program from what the Dooley dumpster that he started at and build and progress and recruit and get to the point. I think that Tennessee, on paper right now, is the best team in the SEC East. I would say that they're the second or third best team in the conference. But the benefit that they have is they've got Florida with a brand new quarterback and a second-year head coach. They got Georgia that doesn't know their quarterback situation and a first-year head coach. Then they've got the 4 teams that are brutal, which are Vanderbilt, Kentucky, South Carolina, and Missouri. It's theirs for the taking. I think Tennessee has to win the East. It's not far-fetched. I think it becomes a reality, and Butch Jones wins close games. So I have him losing to Alabama, and I have him losing to Georgia, but they beat Florida and they beat Texas A&M, and that 4 games are their entire season. And I think this is the biggest benefit for Tennessee altogether is they get to play Appalachian State. They get to go on a big stage of the Battle of Bristol against Virginia Tech, so they actually get to feel the spotlight a little bit against a lesser opponent, and then they play Ohio. This is a exhibition 3-game preseason build up for their actual season.
Those teams aren't like the Delaware State that some of the other SEC teams are playing.
And I think that's better they're not.
It's definitely like Appy State was a 10-win team last year. They returned everybody on offense. Now their defense has work to do. And so that's you don't have to play outstanding, but it's not like you can go in there and turn the ball over 4 or 5 times and still win that game. Like Tennessee has to play good against Appy State. They have to play good. They have to play well against Virginia Tech. And they have to play good again against Ohio to win those games. If you're Tennessee, and we both believe they're going to lose at Georgia, and that is the game to where if they lose to Bama at home, and they're sitting there with 2 conference losses going into November and the end of October. Tennessee's schedule at the last half of the season, South Carolina, Tennessee Tech, Kentucky, Missouri, and Vanderbilt, that is a cakewalk. Tennessee will go 5-0 in that stretch, but it's about what happens to Georgia because they lost to Georgia earlier in the year, and Georgia has games, Florida, Kentucky, which they'll win, and Auburn. We don't know exactly what Auburn can be.
No, we don't.
They've recruited well, but that's a wild card game. If Georgia beats Auburn there and beats Florida, then Tennessee is out of it. It's about what other people do. That's why that game against Georgia is so important, and I think Tennessee will lose that game, and that's why I think with a 10-2 record, a 6-2 SEC record, that they'll be missing out on Atlanta because of the loss to Georgia early in October.
And I understand how you got there.